Always great to see you, Corbin. Let's start there, dude. The BA top 100 list just came out. It's funny, by far the richest dude on that list is a Milwaukee Brewer in Jackson Chourio. So what do you know about him, and are you excited to play with him this year?
Yeah, so I actually don't know a ton about him. Obviously, he's come over the last couple of years from minor league camp and filled in some innings on the big league side. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excitement in the organization about him. Great player, has flown through the system. I don't know if he's 20 years old yet, which is crazy to think about where I was at when I was 19 years old. I was my second year of college and was no way near good enough to play in the big leagues. So the fact that he's as advanced as he is exciting, and I'll get a better look at him, get to know him more when spring training starts in, gosh, a little over a month.
Well, your manager said he's not good enough to play in the big leagues yet either, because he said he's still going to be number 94 in spring training, and he's got to earn number 11 at some point. You think that's fair? You think that's fair? You think a guy that gets that money, we're not talking about like somebody that signed like a $20 or $25 million deal. Somebody that gets this money. Do you feel like as a guy in your last season with the Brewers, you're like, hey, if we gave this guy money, let's go. Let's bring this dude up and start whacking.
I definitely think it's fair. I don't think just because you sign a big number, prospect evaluators love you. I don't think that guarantees you a spot in the big leagues. I think you got to come out and you got to show you're ready. You got to show you're mature enough to play in the big leagues. I think the big leagues will humble you pretty quickly if you get thrown into the action without being prepared for it. Murph's been around the game for a long time. He's coached in the college ranks for a long time, so I think he knows when a guy's going to be ready for the big leagues. And I've had conversations actually with Murph about it, and what he's thinking there. And he's like, yeah, obviously the organization loves him, but as far as he's concerned, he's got to go out and prove his spot and prove his worth on the team. And if he comes into camp prepared, ready to go, firing all cylinders, and is going to really improve the team, then I think he's going to be in the big leagues. But obviously there's still a lot of unknowns there, but obviously the organization loves him to give him $80 million. So he's got to be pretty good.
As the dude on this team, you and Yelly are kind of, pitching and position player dudes. What do you need to see from him? What do you need to see from this guy that you're like, okay, beginning of camp, I see this. He's adapted to this, or he sucks at this. What do you need to see?
I think to gel in the clubhouse is probably the best thing. You coming in, you don't want to be the selfish guy. Everyone knows you're going to make $80 million, so don't come in and act like you're better than everyone, because really you're 19, 20 years old and you still have a lot to prove. So coming in, showing the willingness to learn. Yelly's going to be a great guy to be right there with him in the outfield, taking him through reps, hitting in the cages. I'm sure they'll pair him up with Yelly and some of the older guys in the clubhouse. But just show you're willing to learn, show you're there to win baseball games. You're there to compete for the team. And that's really it. I think that's kind of what you expect out of most guys. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of young guys competing for spots in camp this year. So I think that'd probably be the message to a lot of the guys, whether it's him, Black. There's some young pitchers we have, just guys that are wanting to make the team. Just come out and show you're willing to be a team guy, work your butt off, and do whatever you can to help the team win.
Corbin, first off, congrats on the arbitration deal, 15.637. I don't know where you got those final three numbers from, but that's
500. Don't forget the 500. That's the craziest number ever, Burnsy.
I'll be honest with you. You don't see a number like that. I mean, you must have had one less walk, and they're like, all right, we'll just give them the 37.5. Forget about it.
Yeah, that number came from a previous pitcher that was third-time ARB eligible that we were kind of shooting for last year. That we kind of got back to that level this year.
Nice, yeah. And what people don't understand, when you do ARB, you go back and look at what other people have done, what you've done as well. It's not especially what you're going to do in the future. So that's really interesting. I want to talk about it's funny, just the number. I want to talk about bullpen sessions, man. I know you're big on bullpen sessions. Is there like something specific you do every time you go to bullpen session? Can you explain, to everybody, if there's something that, you do that most people wouldn't understand?
Yeah, so I'm actually a little bit different when it comes to bullpens. Right now I'm thrown off the mound every day. There isn't a day that I play catch that I'm not on the mound. For me, in the off season, early in spring, getting off the mound as much as I can just to get comfortable. With the spikes in the dirt again, seeing the catcher back there, getting the hitter to stand in. For me, it's just getting comfortable again. Then once I get comfortable again, it's going through everything. It's not a ton of pitches. It's up there for 12 to 15. Get a touch. You're not going to get up there and throw up huge velos and get game-like spin action. So as long as you have a good feel of something, and I get on and get off. But usually, probably a month or two into the season, I'll stop throwing bullpens on a mound. For me, it's just flat ground work. It's getting the work in, getting that good feel, just knowing that I don't want to chase something in a bullpen. I don't want to chase a spin that when you get the adrenaline and game action, it's going to have a different shape to it. So for me, a lot of it's feel. A lot of it, once I get comfortable with my legs, with the timing of my hands and stuff, I'll stop throwing bullpens in season and just get the work in, get out, and try not to chase something in those bullpen sessions.
I got one on that. I got a question on that. But first, I got to know, who was the comp? Who did you compare yourself to?
So that number is Jake Arrieta's number from, 2017, 2018.
Shoot. You are way better looking than Jake Arrieta. I would not have used that as a comp. But let's get back to the your bullpens here. At the end of my career, I would say probably the last 5 or 6 years, they started bringing TrackMan into, or Rapsodo into, the bullpen. And I, even into BP, so guys would have it in BP. I felt like, and at that point I had established, my routine, whether it was good or it was bad, it was my routine. I felt like young guys that were out there in their bullpens with the TrackMan out there, the Rapsodo, it was like, oh man, this is kind of like a tryout. Like I got to make sure I get my, since you don't really use it, or you don't really utilize bullpens as much, do you use TrackMan at some point, or Rapsodo? And is that good or bad for young guys? Because it's kind of like a constant barometer, like, oh, you only threw that 186. Are you okay?
So I'll use TrackMan and all the analytics early in camp, spring training, bullpens, kind of at the end of the off season. My son's trying to come in here. Easy, Bubba. So basically, the TrackMan is the kind of indicator of kind of how I'm progressing through spring training. But then once season starts, I don't use TrackMan and bullpens. Again, I don't want to chase the numbers. I don't want to chase the spin rates. I'll look at TrackMan post outing just to kind of see how they compare throughout the season. If we see, hey, something spin direction's off on a curveball or a slider, it's something I can work on in catch play between outings. But that's one of the things I do talk to a lot of young guys about is caution using the analytics, the TrackMan, the Rapsodo, whatever it may be, in bullpen sessions, because your adrenaline's not the same. The intensity is not the same. So if you're trying to chase something, let's say the shape of the slider, or the spin rate of the slider, and you start doing some funky stuff in the bullpen, it's not going to translate to the game, because all of a sudden you get a different adrenaline, different intensity. So I use it more as a tool as I'm getting ready at the end of an off season into spring training, just to kind of see my baselines, see where they're at, make sure they're on track, make sure I don't need to change anything mechanically. And then once season starts, it's just looking at them, every 2 to 3 outings, just to make sure we're kind of on par with the rest of the season.
So I'm kind of nerding out here, but do you think there's a future where we're using the in-game TrackMan data in the sense of like his spin to analyze whether a pitcher should come out of a game? Because we talk about this all the time, and you're already past that threshold, but we talk about how pitchers are evaluated to be taken out of games. Do you think in the future, a guy that's about to break into the big leagues right now, a Paul Skeens, could be seen by an organization like the Pirates who says, as soon as your RPMs hit 2,600, we're going to bring, although he's a lower spin rate guy, so as soon as they start ticking in one direction or another, boom, we're getting somebody up in the bullpen.
Yeah, I think so. I think honestly, I think we're there. I know there's a lot of stuff that the Brewers, pitching coaches, staff look at in game as far as pitch shape, velocity, that kind of thing. That you might be like, hey, your sliders have a little bit different shape today. How's it feeling? Do we need to lean on more curveballs? So it's definitely there. as far as looking at pitch shape in game. Are we close to, like I say, RPMs, velocity determining when a guy gets taken out? Probably. We're probably pretty close to that, especially for the young guys that they're trying to protect, get the most value out of them in 5 or 6 innings and get them out of there. But as far as I'm concerned, I've talked to Hookie, our pitching coach, about it. Like, hey, just like my bullpens, I don't want the TrackMan up in game. I don't want to hear about slider shape. For me, if I'm getting outs, let's keep rolling. If I'm not getting outs, then we're not throwing the right pitches. So let's make an adjustment. So I skew to stay away from the analytics once the season starts, but it's definitely becoming more and more prevalent in the game.
I love that because I remember when I used to play, they used to give me, when it was first starting to come out, they give me paperwork. And I told the guy, I said, this will be the last time you give me this paperwork. I'm going to use it in the toilet here in a second. I don't want to see any of that crap because I know how I can play. I know where to play when Miguel Cabrera is up and he's facing a lefty. I know where to play when this guy's up. You're not going to tell me I need to be 2 steps to the left at this point on defense-wise. That's just me ranting a little bit. Excuse me. Anyway,
Yep.
We talk about free agents a lot. You just went through arbitration. Have you talked to or heard from anybody that's going through it right now? Because there's still a lot of free agents out there. I know you got a lot of buddies out there you played with or played against. You haven't gone through this yet, but still, is there, any talks, anything going on? Because there's still a ton of free agents out there.
Yeah, so just my experience. So I've gotten to know some of the starting pitchers the last couple of years. So I remember having conversations with Gosman and Robbie Ray a little bit. Gosh, where they signed their contracts last year or 2 years ago. Just getting their mind about what they thought about free agency, how it went for them, that kind of thing. Because everybody views it as like, oh, it's a great time you get to pick, and you really get 2, maybe 3 offers to choose from. So just kind of getting the reality of it, kind of understood it a little bit last year, going through it again this year, talking to some guys. I'm still, one of my best friends in the game is Josh Hader, and I talk to him, pretty often. He's the guy that's still out there. He's still going through it. And just listening to the difference of the reliever markets to the starting pitcher market to the position player market. Obviously, he's still unsigned, and he's in a market that usually takes most of the offseason into spring training for it to fully develop and sign a place. So it's just interesting to hear the different markets and how their pace goes. And it seems like this year has been even slower, with the big signings of Ohtani and Yamamoto. It's kind of slowed everything down. But yeah, there's still a ton of free agents out there, and it's exciting for teams to know that there's still that many options out there when we're, a month away from spring training starting.
Yeah, and I'll say this because you won't, and you don't need to say this. Oh, nice, my freaking chain's falling apart. The off-season excuse of the year from some teams is the TV money the RSNs. I won't get you down that rabbit hole, but there's a lot of BS there. They're fine. They have money. And hopefully they spend it at some point over the next few weeks. So a lot of fans in the chat asking about Hader, obviously knowing from this show maybe because he popped on at one point that you guys are boys. So have you spoken to him at all or hung out with him? And when you do you talk about this at all, or do you try and be that friend where you're like, screw it, let's just have a good time and let's have that be the only topic we don't cover and we can do whatever else we want to do, and you're kind of uplifting. So give us the lowdown.
Yeah, we've hung out. We've hung out quite often. Obviously, our sons are both about the same age. Our wives are best friends. We're best friends. So, we text all the time. We talk all the time. We hung out around Thanksgiving, hung around Christmas. Actually, we're together on Christmas Day. So, we're still very close. And usually it's a brief, hey, how's the body feeling? How's your arm feeling? Always, for me and him, most importantly, it's always health. So we're always checking in to make sure we're going to be healthy to be able to throw that year. And then it's usually just a quick question. Hey, how's arbitration going, or how did it go? How's free agency? How's it going? And that's about it. It's more about just spending time with each other, shooting the shit, catching up, talking about each other's kids and what life's been doing. So not a ton of baseball talk, just because me and him are very similar in the off season. We want to focus on life outside of baseball because we know we got 8 months of the year where it's nonstop baseball. Talking about it in the clubhouse, you see games on all the time. So when we get the opportunity to just talk anything besides baseball, we do, whether it's fishing, whether it's hunting, just anything.
You get out with brother at all, hunting or fishing or nothing, or sticking outdoors?
I'm not into the hunting like he is. He's got all of his land in Missouri, and he's I mean, he's building all kinds of lodges and all kinds of stuff that he's going to take us to one day. But I haven't gone out with him fishing this year. He hasn't taken the boat out in the water, so I'm a little bit disappointed in him on that. But I go out, 2 or 3 times a month, whether it's by myself or get out quite often with Andrew Vaughn, another good friend of mine. So there's definitely some time to get out there. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed in him that he hasn't gotten the boat out in the water this offseason.
That's brutal, brother. All
Yeah,
right,
brother.
so let's put the 2024 postseason. All right, after the season, you're a free agent. Think about all these guys that are being held up by the RSNs, being held up by Yamamoto and Shohei and all that stuff. How are you going to be handling it at this time of year? Everything from what's your mindset to what kind of calls? Like we talked to Todd about it earlier today. Todd was talking about how the fact that he was calling his agent and be like, bro, what's the deal with this? Like, why aren't they calling? Like, you need to call this guy. Like, I'll call them. How are you going to handle all this?
Well, ironically, I've already had these conversations with Scott. He's going through a lot of it right now with Snell and Montgomery and Bellinger and Chapman. I mean, gosh, he's got so many names you can't even count. But we've had the conversations. He's like, look, we're a year away. We're going to get to have these conversations now. Markets are different each year. Basically, you're going to have a team to play on come whatever, mid-February of 2025. It's like you don't have to worry about it. You're going to be one of the better pitchers out there. Teams are going to want you. You're going to have a deal. So for me, it's reassuring because you just don't know what's going to happen. It seems like every offseason something else comes up of a slow market this year because of Ohtani, Yamamoto, RSN deals. Hopefully all that's taken care of. We won't have those guys in the free agent market. And I'm signed by Thanksgiving next year, but that's not going to happen. That's just not how things go. And so part of me is going to be having to be patient, wait it out, knowing that the markets will come around. He's really good at what he does, so I'm going to let him do his job. But there's always that curiosity of, hey, when's it going to happen? When things are going to pick up? What teams are going to reach out? So it's kind of a wait and see game. It's obviously frustrating, but as these guys are going through it this year, it's just something that happens every offseason.
But the uncertainty of like not knowing where you're going for spring training, that doesn't bother you, or the fact that maybe he's looking out the best for Corbin, but he's looking out for the best of his next 60 Cy Young Award winning pitchers too. Like how do you balance both of those things? And yet, it's still you. Yes, I get it. You're trusting Scott. But it's your contract. It's your life that you have to turn around and pack your family up 2 minutes in advance to go to spring training that starts in 3 days.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's my decision, and where I want to end up with the offers I've gotten, it's going to be my choice, and I'm going to do what's best for my family. Whether it's a Florida spring training, Arizona spring training, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, we're open to everything. I've had the conversation with my wife already of, hey, this game isn't going to last forever. We're going to be retired, a lot longer than we're going to play this game. So, let's try to do what we can and have fun while we can while we're in the game, knowing that there's going to be so many years after we can enjoy ourselves and travel and raise the kids and do whatever. So, we're very open minded with where we're going to play, when it's going to happen. We're just going to take it in stride and know that it's just part of the process and enjoy it. The last thing we want to do next year is stress out the entire offseason and waste an offseason of getting to hang out with the kids and see family and travel for the holidays. So that's the last thing we want to do. So that we're just going to keep it open-minded, enjoy ourselves, and when the time comes to pick the team to sign with, that's when it's going to happen.
Hey, I want to ask you a question here. You brought up a quote that I know you've heard before. You're going to be retired a lot longer than you're going to be playing this game. Who have you heard that quote from before?
Shit, everyone that plays this game.
Listen, there's a main guy who says it every year in spring training when we have our meetings. Do you remember who it is?
I mean, it seems like everyone in the union will say it too. So it's in the MLB bat, all the players.
Yeah, so Dan Foster. MLB. Dan Foster comes in. bro, he goes like this. He goes, you'll have a stack of money this high. When you're done, you'll have a stack of money this high. Bro,
Yeah.
I never forget Dan Foster coming. He says the same speech over and over about,
It's
you know,
true,
how
though. It's true,
it
though.
is. It is. It's 100%. You got to look out for your family at the end of the day. Because I remember my wife was on my ass 24/7, and you know she was a little pipsqueak. I love her to death, but she's like, "Call him again, call him again." I'm like, "You freaking call him then if you care." I'm like, "Leave me alone." But yes, uncertainty of what you're doing. My last question to you is, man, forget about everything else. Put everything out the window. How excited are you to come in this year, knowing you just finally got your money? Let's go. It's go time here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, I've had a lot of conversations with Murph recently. Murph's fired up. Obviously, first year managing in a long time. He's excited for the squad. He's excited to get to camp. Murph lives out here, so I'm sure he's going to the complex every day to see some of the minor league guys that are in there. But he's fired up. He's obviously we're going to have a young squad. There's still, like I said, still a lot of offseason left, so there's still room to make additions to the team, but. He knows it's going to be a young team like what we had last year, and people are already counting us out again, which he loves that. It fires him up. He's like, "Oh, I love it. We're the underdog. We're going to go out. We're going to prove people wrong." That's just it fuels the fire for Murph. So he's excited. I've talked to a couple of the guys, and everyone's itching to get going. Everyone's working out, training hard, throwing already. So it's good to hear that everyone else is just as excited as I am and Murph is, and I'm sure everyone else around the organization is to get back going again and do our best to get to the postseason and make a deep postseason run.
Hey, what do you think about Murph going to hit with Bregman? He likes all his guys. He was on our show and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go over and watch Bregman hit." How do you feel about that? Like a team that you could be playing in the World Series. I feel like you got to give Murph a little bit of a hard time for that.
There's so many things to give Murph a hard time about. It's tough to pick one thing. He says dumb shit every day, and so you try to call him out on it, but then he throws something else at you that leaves you speechless for a little while that you don't even know what to say most of the time. So, who knows? He was probably going to see Bregman because he was hitting with someone else. Who knows? The list of people that Murph knows in this game is incredible. He brings up a name that's, "Oh yeah, I coached this guy in the 50s," and I'm like, "Murph, you're too old to be telling people that you coached in the 50s." So I don't even know that's true, but I mean, he's been around the game forever. He knows every single name in the game. Anytime you hear a free agent that we signed or came up with, he's like, "Oh yeah, I coached him, or I coached his brother, or I coached his dad." So it's like, dude, you've got too many connections in this game.
So, Corbin, there's some fans in the chat asking about Craig Counsell. And when we had Murph on, we asked him about it, of course. So from your perspective, what's that rivalry going to be like this coming season for the Cubs and the Brewers, and Counsell versus Murph? Because obviously we know Murph's personality and how tight they are, but I just think there'll be this dynamic of like maybe entertaining shit talk, that's going on before, during, and after the game. And obviously for fans and for the division, it's going to be competitive as hell because these should be two of the better teams in the division, right?
Yeah, I mean we've had a great rivalry for ever since I've been up. We've always competed against the Cubs well. They've always played against us well. It didn't matter if they were struggling that year or not. Whenever the Brewers went into Wrigley or the Cubs came into Milwaukee, it was always going to be a tough series, and it has been. It's been exciting. Obviously, this is going to add to it a little bit. It'll be interesting to go to Wrigley and see how people are interact with Counts, because every time we went in there, we got booed. So it's kind of all of a sudden they went from booing the guy to cheering the guy. So it'll be kind of cool to see. Be curious to see how it plays out. Murph's going to do his job. Whoever we're coaching against, he's not going to try to draw attention to that. He's going to have his plan. We're going to go out and try to win that day. Hopefully we beat him every time we play him. But it'll be fun. It'll be cool to see Counts again and talk to him. I've had a pretty good relationship with Counsell for the last 4 or 5 years. So just to see him in a different uniform will definitely be different. But it'll be good to see him, and it'll be good to beat him.
Yeah, I cannot wait to watch those games. Okay, so one more here, follow-up question on our hater discussion from earlier, because I want to, and we've been doing this, defend him, and I'm sure you can do the same. Sometimes fans are like, "Well, he won't pitch the 8th inning," or, "Is he really going to pitch the 8th?" Like they bring that up nonstop, as if every closer goes 2 innings in the game. And you know the backstory. We've talked about the backstory to an extent. I also haven't gotten this from Josh this second, but I can pretty much guarantee, knowing him, that the team that he signs with, which will probably be multiple years, he will probably make himself available in those kind of scenarios now with a long-term contract. And it's not like this has come up a billion times in the past. What's your take though on, him catching some flack for fans for, especially that one game, I think it was, the Padres are out of it, and, he could have come in for an out or two and they lost, but they were already essentially eliminated.
Yeah, so I think the reason Hader gets a lot of that is because that's what he did when he came into the big leagues in 17 and 18. He was the seventh, eighth inning guy before he became the closer, and so everyone's like, "Oh, we were used to seeing Josh Hader for 2 years throw 2 innings." You don't see any other closer in the league throw 2 inning saves every time they go out there. So I think that's just Hader got this rap of being a multi-inning guy when he wasn't a closer when he first came up and did really well. Then when he transitioned to the closer role, he took on the prototypical closer role of being the ninth inning guy and going in and getting 3 outs and getting the save, winning a baseball game. So obviously the other thing is Josh is all about being healthy, just as every other pitcher is. And so if you want a closer to go out there and throw 110 innings in a season, it's going to be tough for them to stay healthy. But that doesn't mean that in August, September, come crunch time in the postseason, if you ask him to get a 5, 6 out, 4 out save, he's not going to go out there and do it. He's going to go out there and do it. It's just he's a competitor. He wants to win. He's a team guy. But just asking a closer to throw 2 innings 5 days a week for the entire season and throw 100 innings it's not reasonable.
Kratz, basically what I'm getting here is, and I think this is true, he set the bar too high early on. It's like you go on a first date and you're on a private jet and you're on an island and there's like a movie set up and I don't know, you just have some ridiculous first date, and then the next date you go to a fast food joint. You're like, wait, what? I thought we did that every time.
I mean, let's put it this way. To use your analogy, the equivalent was you did a private jet, 24 roses, all this stuff. Then the rest of the time, Hader, the rest of the dates were like 5-star restaurants, no private jet, but a weekend vacation in New York. Like Hader is the bee's knees. And this is why we're talking about the 8th inning. Like, this dude has done stuff in the game that nobody has seen. Now, Devin Williams has followed in his footsteps, so whatever Hader gets, Devin should get also. Like, those are 2 of the elite closers in the game right now, and they're going to free agency. You are getting exactly what he's put out there. So don't give me this whole 8th inning trash. Like, this dude has been elite except for a 16-game stretch in his entire career, which there's other extenuating circumstances with that like, if you're really going to spend $100 million and you're worried about 16 games that he didn't do well in, why don't you call him up and see what was going on during those 16 games? And I think you might up it to like 120 for brother.
Yeah, I mean, every penny that a team spends on him is going to be well worth it. I mean, the guy works his butt off. He makes sure to take care of himself. From the minute he gets there, he's got a plan of, hey, I'm going to go do my throwing routine, get my workout in, do my arm care. Like, the guy just is the ultimate like guy taking care of his body, keeping his mind right. Goes out and performs, and it's tough to argue.
I think with those dates, basically, it's not just that; it's the consistency. It's like every date he's always going to show up there too. That's what's gone into the durability of him just pitching the 9th. All right, last one here, just following up on that. Wasn't there a time like several years back where you guys, one of your playoff runs had him in that multiple inning stretch, and I felt like the game planning was around him, right? Like, it would be, when are we going to bring him in? When are we going to get 3 shutout innings, right? Like, he was that much of a factor in that role, which was nuts, because obviously he'd get like 2 days off, pitch 3 innings. You're right. He was one of a kind in our game, and it's definitely not good for pitcher health.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that was probably the team in 18. That's when I came up in 18. I mean, our bullpen that year was unbelievable. We had the reason Hader was throwing the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings is because he had Jeremy Jeffress, who had one of the best years of his career, and our closer was Corey Knebel, who was an all-star as well. So it's like our bullpen that year, all we needed a starting pitcher to do was throw 3 innings, because then it felt like I was throwing the 4th, Hader was throwing the 5th, Woody was throwing the 5th, Hader was throwing the 6th and 7th, Jeffress the 8th, Knable the 9th, and like that's what we did in the postseason. That's what we did down the stretch in September. And it's the reason probably we got one game away from the World Series that year is our bullpen was so dominant that we had starting pitchers that just said, "Hey, go through the order one time," and then we've got 4 or 5 guys we can match up to close the game out with. Hader throwing 7 or 8 punches somewhere in the middle of the game.
Yeah, incredible. You can't wait to see where he ends up, dude. Great catching up as always.